Thank you so much for joining in. How's everybody doing? Oscar Blue live right here from the beautiful city of Jerusalem. Thank you, everybody. Welcome from the platform of my great mentor, Chuck Holton. Thank you so much for coming in here and, just coming in here and seeing basically this beautiful scenario right here on the back. To be back right here in Israel is really a gift from God. I got to tell you, last time that I was here, I was invited by Chuck also. It's just unbelievable, the invitation. We went to the Holy Church in the middle of the Holy City, and it was just amazing. It was just unbelievable. I got a privilege to be in there for like 5 minutes in there. And Chuck was telling me, when this is packed, when you have, there was no war because there's a war right now, and you have the big possibilities of, just getting into these places without, the massive amount of people from all parts of the world. But he told me when this is packed, you don't have no possibility of just going into this, little cubicle where there's two positions where I have gone where they say Jesus was put to rest. And today I went to another place that it was the Garden of the Tomb, that it was beautiful. But talking before, the first time that I went there, had a beautiful experience that ended in, I can say, weird experience. I was praying there for like 5 minutes constantly. I was mumbling a little bit because I can feel the energy, and it was like the Holy Spirit in there. And it was so emotional for me to be in there, knowing that it was one of my dreams to go to Israel. One of my dreams since I was a little kid. And I came here as working and with Chuck, and sitting there, kneeling down there, and pray for my family, pray for for all this evil that is happening. Me, that I cover migration, all the trafficking of children, and all this kind of stuff. Getting out of there, and I see, the governor of New York. New York, I don't even remember her name. And she was coming in there, and she immediately asked me, like, what is in there? What do you guys have there? She thought that I was that I was working there because at that time I had a beard, and I looked kind of like, I don't want to say, but I looked kind of like Middle Eastern. So she thought that I was there and working. But I told her, I cannot believe that you don't know what is in there. It's this where Jesus was put to rest. And Governor Hochul, yeah. And she went in there. She did a whole scenario. She was with security, and she took photographs, and like a prompt, like a circus. And today, got here at 2 o'clock in the morning, no sleep. Came back here to the Airbnb, to the apartment where Chuck is staying, and he invited me, to stay here again. Nicely of him. And today we woke up a little bit, late. I woke up late. Chuck didn't. And we walked all the way to the Garden of the Tomb, which is it's amazing to see this, man. It's just unbelievable. You go and see, Skull, where the rock, and where possibly where Jesus was crucified. That is one of the most, probable and comparable places that he was crucified. And then we went to the Garden of the Tomb. Was just unbelievable, and it was amazing, to see that. Again, I had the opportunity, to be there for like 10 to 15 minutes alone. And I prayed mostly for the United States of America. They're fighting against this radical, progressive, mercenary, activist, evil, and demonic liberals, which they are destroying the educational system, which they are destroying the future of the generations, where they are destroying just the culture of life. I pray that these evil will go away from the United States of America. Also pray for my country of Mexico, which I am, I live in, all this kidnapping of women, the cartel, and all this activity. But ultimately, I prayed for Venezuela. Venezuela right now, the Venezuelans, which I have migrated with them. I have documented the mass migration through the Darien Gap, and I have carried children, carried women in the middle of the jungle, rescuing and broadcasting and doing my reporting. These people are suffering, from a dictator. Venezuela won the elections against Maduro. And ultimately, they are right now fighting with they don't have a Second Amendment. They're fighting with their hands and their voices. That's the only thing that they're doing. There's been more than 20 people that they have died over these protests against Nicolas Maduro. more than almost close to 2,000 people that they've been arrested. Nicolas Maduro has canceled WhatsApp, has canceled TikTok, has canceled all social media. He's going into houses. It's going to houses without, notice, and just barging in with the authorities. These collectives that they're called, they're kind of like radical groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter kind of groups. So they go in there and they check the phones of the citizens. They check the phones of the people to see what you have been posting on social media. Look how disgusting this is. So if you have something that is remotely against Nicolas Maduro or the regime, they will take you prisoner and they will torture you. That's actually a fact. They have been, a lot of these young kids that they have been being tortured in Venezuela because they want freedom, man. They don't want to live under this communist country. They don't want to live on this communist dictatorship. And this is what the new generations of the United States of America, they want. This is how crazy it is. These young generations that are being taught on these schools, and these high class schools, Stanford, Yale, Brown, Harvard University, they're being taught how to, obey a Marxist communist socialist system. And they think that everything looks beautiful on the book, but when you apply it on the ground, when you apply it basically on a country, it is just disaster. And this is what has been happening to the Venezuelan people. There's a lot of bad people coming in on this migration. We already know that. But I pray for that, in a nutshell, not getting into migration issue. We're in Israel, had the opportunity to go to the Garden Tomb. There's a lot of topics that I want to discuss right now with you guys. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you to every single one of you that got me over here. We're praying to just, get the funds to get back also back to my country. But ultimately, I want to say thank you to every single one of you. One of the things that I wanted to discuss, it is this Israel strike on Han Yunis. And first and foremost, I would like to put this article right here. This article that it was put out by The Guardian around a month ago, and it has been several attacks by Israel in Han Yunis. Now, I want to tell everybody this strategy, and it is not a conspiracy theory, because this leftist progressives, they're always preaching about this is a conspiracy theory, it's fear monger, it's white supremacy, it's white imperialism, it's xenophobic, transphobic, homophobic, pronounphobic, fatphobic, racist, fascist, narcissist, bigot, and Zionists. Run the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. This is the language barrier of defense that the liberals and the progressives, they use to cut the freedom of speech and to put a label in our foreheads if we think differently of what they think. And this Hamas and Hezbollah, this is a strategy that they use, and has been used since they started, and it is a reality. Israel stroke on Han Yunis, and several people died, children died on that particular place. But Hamas, what they have been doing, and this is a thing that I was learning by Chuck, IDF has gone into Gaza, and they have practically almost eradicated Hamas. That's what they're thinking. But they're still fighting back, as Chuck was telling you, still fighting back, still, attacking with missiles and rockets, which makes you think that they're still out there. There's still a vast majority or quantity of Hamas terrorists out there. The thing about it is that what these terrorists are doing is just cowardless. It's just evil and demonic. So everybody knows what they do. They go into these tents, or they go into these hospitals that they're being controlled by Hamas. Imagine you're in Gaza and you're Hamas terrorists, and if you don't obey what they say, you will basically be eradicated from the planet. It is like when you are living in our country of Mexico and you are in a cartel state, and if you don't obey the cartel, you will be kidnapped or you will be recruited. That actually happens in the state of Michoacán, the state of Guerrero, where the cartel goes into these farm, rural areas. And when they go over there, they tell the families, hey, how old is your son? 14. How old is your daughter? 16. So I will take your daughter and I will leave your son alone, or give me your son and I will recruit him to be in the cartel. You got two options. So particularly, the father and the mother, they're going to say, hey, I'm going to keep the daughter, and I'm sorry, son, but I don't want to get, they're going to take us out of the face of the earth if I don't give you away. This basically, it is almost a copy paste. And I'm sure that it's a copy paste of what Hamas and also Hezbollah have been doing in the Gaza Strip with all the children, with all the young kids that they're being brainwashed since they are young with this hatred mentality, this hatred that you need to fight, you need to die by the sword, you need to, shoot, you need to shoot rockets, you need to go and attack. This is the mentality. And always the progressive and the mercenary liberals, they're always on the defense mechanism that, we need to make Palestine a state and la this and la that, all this la land. When you see Hamas, like this potential, this strike that Israel did on them, they were on a school. What is Hamas doing? Having a meeting in a school with all children, with women. What is Hamas doing over there? I just want to say that. What is Hamas doing? Having a meeting in the middle of a school with children and women. This has been every day of story. But you will get the progressives and you will get the liberals, and they will always say, oh, no, that's the other side of the story. They can be really, why they're shooting to particularly schools? Why are they shooting to particularly hospitals? Why are they shooting to this? Why they're attacking these particular places? Why is Hamas there? First and foremost, that is the number one question I would like to ask. So let me give a hypothetical example, because anybody on this planet that defends Hamas and Hezbollah, it is exactly defending the cartels. What is going to be next? You're going to have a progressive liberal that comes to you and tells you, oh, you know what? The cartel of Sinaloa and El Chapo, he has human rights, man. He has a human right, to live. He has a human right to have freedom. What is next? You're going to say that? So everybody's going to wear a sombrero now. They're going to go outside of the prison of El Chapo and start defending the Chapo. It's kind of exactly the same. You're defending the same purpose. Why? Because you're going to say, oh, the cartels, they're mercenaries, that they were born and they never had an education and they never had an opportunity. So they rise against the government and they started selling drugs and selling narcotics because they didn't have enough opportunity. And it was the CIA and it was the DEA and it was the corrupt government of the United States. Oh, man, BS. It's always the same thing. And in this particular situation, I've seen this kind of behavior. How these cowards, they hide behind the lines of children and women. And then later on, it is the victimization strategy, which it has worked for the longest time with the leftists and the progressives. And all the, the narrative of these mercenary people, it has worked to perfection. Look what they did in the United States of America. It worked to perfection with Black Lives Matter, with Antifa. For God's sake, Antifa took I don't even know how many streets in Portland, acting like the victim, like, oh my God, we never had an opportunity. We need more syringes to put drugs on ourselves because, oh my God, they're not putting addiction programs and all this kind of, it's always the victimization card. Where am I going with this? So Israel struck Han Yunis, right? And a lot of the people are saying, oh, there were children there. It's a war. Let me just tell you how it is. It's a war. A lot of people are talking about a genocide that is happening in Palestine. Let me tell you something. And these are the progressives and the liberals that they support, ceasefire. I have always asked this question to every progressive. I have said, okay, you want Israel to cease fire? Really simple question. If they cease fire, hypothetical example, will Hamas and Hezbollah stop? That's a question that I will ask. And they immediately say, well, that land was stolen. No, I'm asking you a really simple question. Really simple question. All right. Israel says, you know what? I'm done. It's because I have asked over here in Jerusalem to every Israeli, do you want this war to keep going? And everybody says, no, we're tired of it. But I will ask if I could have the opportunity to go to Gaza, because everybody's like, go to Gaza. Do you know how impossible it is to get in there? And there's like, oh, there were journalists that they were there. Yeah, because they were born there and they were on the other side of the territory. Yes, they were over there. And they were security and they're part of the narrative. And sadly, they lost their lives because they were in really places that were extremely dangerous. But going back to the topic. So this is actually how this narrative continues. And you have this group that cowardly hides behind children and women. And then they exploit the victimization card that is always working. You know, look what they're doing to children. Why do I have this example? Me, that I have been covering migration for the longest of time. And I have seen, and I'm going to put this example, and I don't know if it is correct for me to do it, but it's always the same ideals. And it is a strategy by the left. It is a complete strategy by the left. Now, this example, Israel struck Han Yunis. I will put a map where it's located, and I learned a little bit about Chuck, where it's located and what part of it, you know, what part of where in the part of Israel is located on the other side also. But let me just put you an example right now on the screen. This is an example of a caravan. How these people use children to manipulate the media and also to manipulate the situation. This is a child that it doesn't even belong to this migrant, but is using the child for a purpose to make them, oh, we got children. You need to respect us. We got children. This, I recorded this. And it is exactly the same of what Hamas and Hezbollah are doing. It's exactly the same. Look at this. Let me pause the video. This child is not even his. First and foremost, he borrowed this child possibly from the mom and said, hey, you know what? Let me just carry it and put it on the screen so people can, you know, see like, oh my God, this is the child. You know, we're using children. Look at the face of the child. You think the child wants to be put on camera and be yelled at and he doesn't even know what the hell is going on? This is exactly the same what Hamas and Hezbollah are doing. Let me just put a little bit of the video. Another child, look. Another child. It's always children. Always using children. Always using children. It's amazing how these mercenary terrorist groups, and I'm not calling, you know, migrants the terrorists. No, I'm just saying the ideology, which it is being plastered by the left, the progressives. And on this side, I will tell you, by the mercenary terrorist groups, it is always to use cowardly the women and the children for their defense. It's a defense mechanism. It's strategically, it is a perfect defense mechanism. And it works. And you will prefer for people to die, children to die, instead of having a meeting in the middle of Timbuktu. You will have a meeting over there in the middle of the desert. Why don't you have a meeting over there in the middle of the desert with all your bodies of Hamas and you go with your flags and, yeah, we don't like anything. Why don't you go over there and have a meeting? No, you go where there's a school, where there's a hospital. And this is going to be justified by the left by saying, oh, you're a Zionist. You're a horrible Zionist. No, I'm not. I'm just asking you a really simple question. Why are these meetings not being handled where people are not going to be hurt? And they know that there could potentially be a attack by Israel, knowing that that place, it is specifically full with children, women and children. Now, this video was just released was just given to us. And I want to put it on the screen. I wanted to release this video. I don't know if Chuck already released the video, but I'm asking permission. Can I release the video that it was given to me, Chuck? The video, yeah? Okay, so this video, where am I going with this? This is a video of these terrorist organizations shooting 2 missiles from tents. These tents are the ones that they are basically put out by the UN or refugee centers or these places where, you know, it's secure areas for children and for women. Why are they using these places? Why? Why strategically every single time you use these places? And it's specifically why you go to hospitals, why you go to this. Now, I wanted, before I forget this point, because we were at Ukraine, I wanted to say something real quick. You're talking about a genocide. You know that we were in Ukraine. A lot of people support the war. The majority of the people that they want to still spend the billions and the billions at Ukraine, but they want to stop the funding at Israel, right? But they don't talk about the genocide that is also occurring over there, or it's a genocide, or people are dying, whatever you want to put it, however you want to put it. We talked to the mayor of Kyiv that I had the opportunity to talk to him due to Chuck, and he told me, Vitaly Klitschko, former heavyweight world champion, he's a total legend in boxing. He told me, Oscar, we're going to have a big problem in Ukraine. We're losing not only one generation, but two generations of young guys, that they're actually dying in the hands of this war with Putin. And also Putin is losing also generations of Russians. That you don't want to talk about it. No. No. Keep the funding. Continue the funding to that. But cease the fire over here. Where if Israel ceases fire, there's no possibilities whatsoever. There's no negotiation whatsoever on the other side. But on the other hand, in Ukraine and Europe and Russia, that I don't want to get into that topic, there can be possibly a negotiation. There's a possibility, more than a possibility of negotiation than this. Here, there's no possibility of a negotiation. Why? Because if there's a random chance that Israel will say, okay, all right, I'll stop. Okay, Hamas, okay, Hezbollah, okay, I'll stop. There's a possibility that they're going to stop. That's the ideal, that's the goal that I want to say. Now, I'll put this video on. Look at this video. So this video, they're shooting 2 missiles from a potential tent that it was owned by these UN places, these places where they put refugees, these places, safe places, these safe spots, whatever they want to say. Somebody's asking, ¿cuál es tu canal en español? Haré un video. Let me just respond to this in Spanish real quick. Haré un video en español más tarde. Haré un video en español para toda la gente en español más tarde. Ahorita estoy en inglés. Con mucho gusto haré un video en español. Saludos para todos. Dios me los bendiga. Look at this video. Let me put it on the screen right here real quick. Just watch this video and understand what I'm saying. So this, how cynical can you be? And this is why a lot of the attacks plastered on leftist media, on all leftist media, and I will say what the leftist media is: CNN, MSNBC, Democracy Now!, The Daily Beast, Al Jazeera, all this leftist media. All of these media, they plaster 10 kids, 12 kids, 15 kids. Have they ever said, Hamas and Hamas was having a meeting in a park where there were children? Can you find me a one close statement from all these medias that they will say remotely something close to that? Something that it will say remotely close to that? No. You will not find one single statement of that. And this is evidence right here.
جنود لها الإيمان والصبر عدة، لدى الحرب ليسوا بالضعاف ولا العزل، مساعير لا يثنيهم عن مرادهم، ظلال المنايا في الصوارم والنبل، والحرب إن باشرتها فلا يكن منك الفشل، واصبر على أهوالها لا موت إلا بالأجل. هذه الرشقة المباركة من هذه المعركة المباركة إنما نطلقها انتقاما لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم، وردا على المجازر بحق المدنيين الأبرياء العزل. هذا هو الطريق، وعلى الله قصد السبيل.
And as we were seeing this video, I was with Chuck, and some of the videos that he knows about the ground-to-ground missiles and all these kind of missiles. Some of the missiles, they don't even reach out of the vicinity of where they are being shot at. So some of the missiles, like the last time that I was here, there was a big thing about a hospital that it was hit by a missile, and they were actually saying that it was Israel that had struck this hospital. But it actually was a missile from inside from one of these jihadist organizations that it actually didn't reach out the missile because they're horrible at shooting missiles. And it hit the hospital, and they were the ones that they hit the hospital, but they were blaming particularly directly to Israel. These kind of missiles, that as one of them was going a little bit down, Chuck was telling me, oh, that one is not even going to go into the vicinity of reaching out. It was horribly, they're really bad on some of them. They're really bad on shooting missiles. But these are the kind of situations which I wanted to explain. So you're shooting missiles out of tents that they're being put out by particularly UN nations. And these people are controlled, man. I don't blame them. I really don't. And the thing that I want to say, why I don't blame them, why I don't say the least that, oh, you know what, they're the ones to blame. They're the ones that they need to be blame for everything. All these organizations. I just gotta say something, So I wanna put this me while I'm talking. So, a lot of these organizations, I have met a lot of these people that they work for the UN, OIM, all these international organizations that they're only taking air out of our system, the heads, the ones that they control all these places. I don't blame the people that they work for these organizations, because a lot of them, they have a good heart and they want to help. The problem is the top people, the ones that they control, the ones that they control the narrative, the ones that they're part of this problem. And how can you not say anything about, and I haven't seen no reports whatsoever. And if you go to the United Nations webpage, it's just disgusting. If you go to the United Nations webpage, you will not see any reports of missiles being released by no place that it was identified as a UN station in Gaza. No reports whatsoever. As you go right now to the United Nations webpage, one of the biggest web pages in the world, you will go to right now to the United Nations webpage, and ultimately you're not going to see nobody talking about what is happening in Venezuela. There's no dictator over there. There's nothing going on over there. There's nothing going on. But this is the reality of these organizations. Particularly, all the time they're being used or manipulated. And you can see actually the same thing going on right here. I wanted to say that real quick for everybody. Now, I wanted to touch on something that it was a statistic that it was being brought by Chuck today. And I wanted to bring to the screen because these are actually, really important things for people to understand. Look what I have right here on the screen. It says 19,000, according to this article that it was released by the Foundation for Defense Democracies. They released this article, and it says on June 11 of 2024, 19,000 rockets launched at Israel since Hamas October 7 atrocities. Holy cow. 19,000. I will love to hear from the media that are always lying to talk about this. But the ceasefire. I would like to just say, you know what? Yeah, they're not shooting from Hamas. They're not shooting from Hezbollah. That, according to a lot of the progressives in the United States of America, they're militia groups. They're not terrorist groups now. They're militia groups, right? But 19,000 rockets launched at Israel since Hamas October 7 atrocities. Jesus. 19,000. Isn't it amazing the quantity, the amount? And if it wasn't for the protection globe that Israel has, how much damage do you think it would have cost? 19,000. It's just unbelievable. It talks about how relentless, how evil, and how cowardless these terrorist groups are. You know, I have said multiple times, me as a Latino, as a Mexican, I know about terrorist groups. We live in a land with terrorist organizations. Those are the cartels. You know, I live in Tijuana, one of the most dangerous cities in the world. Right now, Tijuana is, I think, is on the top 3 and move up to the top 3 most dangerous cities in the world. There's homicides and decapitations and dismembered bodies all over the place and missing women continuously. The cartel just continuously operates freely because of the enormous corruption that our government has. We know about these terrorist organizations. We have seen how these terrorist groups work, how horrible this is, and how horrible it is to live among, you know, this kind of atmosphere, to be raising a family, to raise a child under this. You know, I remember one situation that happened to me and my kid. And let me just remind you guys, this is a real fact, a real story that happened to me. So before I got attacked by a progressive mercenary liberal she threatened my life all over, you know, the media. I had to move from one house to another, and I had to move my son from 2 schools. So one of the schools where I used to live, my son, you know, his school was like a block away. So I was walking him one morning, and there was a perimeter that it was being closed as I was walking out to walk him to school. There was a perimeter that was being closed by, you know, minister of security, or, you know, of all of this kind of stuff. You know, let me just talk to this kind of people. Look at this people, man. So there was a whole perimeter that it was closed, and full of cops. So I was walking with my son, and my son was asking me, "Hey, Dad, what's going on?" He's 9. At that time, he was, I think it was 8, 7. He was 7. And as I was walking with him, he's asking like, "Hey, Dad, what's going on over there?" And I saw, but I told him, "Oh, nothing. They're just having a meeting." Later on, there was an investigation being done on that particular area. This is how we live. This is how sad it is. This is why I can say that we know how these horrible terrorist organizations and cartels need to be labeled as terrorists. Later on, the report from the police was that a human head, was found in a cooler right there. And I was walking with my son half a block away from that to take him to school. That's how bad it is. That's really how bad it is. You know, hold on a second. I'm having some problems right here. Save chances right here. Okay. So that's how horrible it is, you know, to try to grow a family in places that it's really difficult to see. You know, it's really amazing to be over here. More than that, more than talking about these topics, you know, talking about these situations, talking about this war. Last time that I was here, we were up in Kiryat Shimona, close to the Lebanon area. As I was there, you know, I was with Chuck, and as I was there, there were 2 missiles that were being shot by the IDF into Lebanon. And it was like 1, psh, 2, psh, and Chuck told me, "Oh, you know what? I was gonna have a hit with Real America's Voice News." And as I was standing there, he told me, "Hey, they're gonna shoot 2 other ones back." And I said, I said, "Nah, man, I don't think so." And immediately the siren started sounding, the alert siren. And I was like, "What the hell?" And then we felt it as it was coming in. Like we felt it too. Like it was like, and he immediately told me, like, "We need to duck, like get into safety." that was a crazy, scenario of things that how immediately can happen. We were in Ezrat also, and you feel the actual pressure of the drones on top, the protection drones or whatever it is. Uh, and also we were with the IDF in several parts where there were, you know, alerts of potential missiles coming in, and we heard the boom as it was landing. It's just it's constant over here. It's never ending, never stop. And for people to understand how Iran right now is pressuring for this attack to continue. Chuck was telling me there was going to be a massive, pressure attack, and it happened a little bit. It was more than 30 missiles that were thrown into northern Israel, the part of northern Israel, by Hezbollah. That's more power than Hamas, and still, they're pressuring for this attack to continue. Um, until this moment, and today that I just arrived. I arrived yesterday. I arrived at 2 o'clock in the morning. Tired. We slept. I slept like 3 hours today. We got up. We went to this the garden tomb. It was amazing to be there, and amazing to be walking on that particular place. It was an unbelievable, scenario. To be walking and to be here, it's just incredibly unbelievable. But it's just the most saddest thing about it is that there's no solution whatsoever until now for this the war to stop, and the terrorist organizations are not, are not backing off. Sadly, you think that potentially Hamas is being eradicated or possibly decreased into one point, or possibly they're decreasing the numbers, but they're still out there and they're still fighting back and they still want to attack Israel and they want to destroy Israel. But that's the question that I have always asked. I have always asked to every single person that supports pro-Palestine and all that kind of stuff. I don't have nothing against you. That's the difference. When you try to have a conversation with these people, that I had a couple of man, I didn't put those screenshots up. I had a guy that basically he sent me a message on Twitter, on X, and he said, "I hope that you get attacked and die on the hands of Hezbollah." That's what he said to me. And I hope you don't make it alive. That's a couple of things that he said to me, man. It was just so horrible to see that, because our intentions as a believer of Jesus, before any political party, before anything else, I'm a believer in Jesus. We don't want to wish you harm. I don't want to wish harm on nobody. I'm a peaceful man. I'm a humble man. I don't wish harm on nobody. I just want peace, and I want this war to end. It's exactly as the war in Ukraine. I want that to end, in Ukraine with Russia and every internal war to end. It's just so bad for people to be continuously on the side of these pro-Palestine activists, mercenary activists, progressive activist liberals. They want this war to continue. They want this hatred. They want this destruction from the river to the sea and all this kind of stuff. And they want this attacks and attacks and attacks. But on this side, when I'm walking, I don't see that attitude, man. And I will document it, and I will say, you know what? There's an attitude over here in Israel. There's a potential threat right here in Israel. They want this destruction to continue. They don't want it. It's the complete opposite of what it is on the West, that is in the Americas, how they say it. You will see this attitude of progressiveness, of evil, of attack all the time. On the other hand, you will see people over here that, like myself, I wish that this could end. This is bad. People are dying, children are dying. You cannot live your life walking on the street and hearing a siren all the time and being threatened to think that there's a possibility that you are not going to make it out or you're going to die. It's just so bad. Thank you so much for joining in. How's everybody doing? I'm Oscar Blue. It's nice to say hello to you guys from Jerusalem. Buy me a coffee. It is right there pinned in the chat. If you guys like to contribute to my independent reporting and travel fund, thank you so much. I will greatly appreciate it. We will be doing more reporting as for these days that I will be over here. We're going to go to different places to give you guys updates and all this kind of stuff. Ultimately, your support is much needed for me to get back home. So, thank you so much for giving you guys the time of the day to talk to me. Over here, it is 11:30. Wow, I never thought that it was this late. So it's 11:30 at night. So I want to say thank you to every single one of you for this time that you guys gave me to talk to you guys. If you guys want to read a comment, you want to put a comment, and I will read it. Shout out, whatever it is. Let me just put right here. This says, "Thank you, my brother. Subbed and like. We'll be supporting for you. Sure. Thank you so much, Phil Fan, for good A." Also said, "Hello, the link. Hello, Oscar. Stay safe. Thank you so much." Sparks says, right here. Sparks says, "You're a good man, Oscar. Thank you so much." Also say thank you to Gracie Jones. Thank you. No, thank you. Also, have a good night, Kelly Song. Thank you so much. Also to TS Oscar, thank you. God has put you in the right place at the right time. Thank you so much. Thank you all for your support. I'm here because of you. I'm not here because of me. I'm here because of you. Angela Gisualdo says, thank you. This was my first time hearing you. Appreciate all of you shared. Thank you. If you're a first time, watcher of what I do, for people that they don't know what I do, and people that they are first time watchers. So I cover migration. That's my main topic. I'm expanding my horizons to learn about covering wars. And ultimately, I learn from the best. The best war correspondent for me is Chuck. So I'm learning from him. There's technicisms, and I don't know if that is a word, but there's mechanisms to talk in all these words when you come to war. When you're covering migration, I have done it for so many years. I covered more than 11 caravans in south of the border of Mexico. Covered Central and South America. I almost got killed in Guatemala one time. I'm the only Hispanic and Latino who has crossed the Darien Gap, the most dangerous place for migrants in the world that is between the Panamanian and the Colombian jungle. Crossed it 4 times, documented that 4 times. And because of that, enormous work that we have done in the jungle, we have won a decorated honor in the Colombian Congress. So it was, it has been difficult. It has been hard to cover that. It's, every time that I go inside the Darien, I always get sick. It's a risk that we take. And, our body takes double the effort, double the punishment. I have gotten sick with dengue, malaria, all these kind of things that you have to go through to bring the broadcasting, to bring the reality and truth of the news to every single one of you through your screen. So I'm over here in Israel learning, trying to learn, trying to, bring you guys updates and my thoughts of what I see, as I just told you right now in this broadcast, what I believe and what I think on reality on this current situation. We're going to bring you guys more. I'm going to be here for, some days. So I'm going to bring you guys, hits every day if I can have the opportunity to do so. And if I can, bring you guys updates and also be in posting. Follow me on my pages on Twitter, specifically on Twitter, on X. I post specifically on English. And also Instagram, I post more in Spanish, but I'll be posting in English also. YouTube, as I'm doing right now, I'm doing live. So I'll be posting pictures and all that kind of stuff. And I'm buying me a coffee. If you want to become a subscriber or a member, you can also become a subscriber or a member. That's actually awesome of you if you want to support me like that. It's greatly appreciated. So I'm going to be traveling soon, and then next purpose is for me to go to Armenia with Chuck. So I will hope that I can have the opportunity to go to this trip. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much for being on this broadcast from Jerusalem, from the most beautiful and holiest city in the planet for me, and the most amazing place to be. God bless you. Stay safe. And like we always say, people, God's plan, it is our mission.